3 days. That's what she gave me. 3 days to leave the home where I raised my babies and buried my husband. My name is Dorothy Chen, and I'm 67 years old. This little yellow house in Sacramento has been mine for 35 years. I painted these walls. I planted those rose bushes. My husband Robert died here 2 years ago, holding my hand in our bedroom. But my daughter-in-law Lisa says none of that matters now because my son Michael is gone too. Here's the problem with her story. I saw Michael's picture on Facebook yesterday. He was eating ice cream at Disneyland, smiling big with Mickey Mouse. Lisa thinks I'm just a sad old lady who doesn't understand computers. She thinks I'll believe anything she tells me. She made a whole funeral. People brought flowers. The neighbors gave her money. She wants me to sign papers giving her my house and all my savings. What Lisa doesn't know is that I used to be a teacher. I taught math for 40 years. I know when numbers don't add up. And I've been writing down everything she says in my special notebook. Every single lie. If you're watching this, please click the like button and tell me what country you're from. This is my story about how I stopped a very bad person and why you should never think old grandmas are silly. Let me go back to when this started. May 20th, 2024. That's the day my Robert left this world. Cancer took him away from me. We were married for 45 years. The hospital bills cost us so much money. Almost $200,000. But I didn't care about money. I would have given everything to keep him one more day. After Robert's funeral, the house felt so empty and quiet. Michael flew here from Florida for his dad's funeral. He brought Lisa with him. They got married 4 years ago, but I barely knew her. She sold houses for work. She was always looking at her phone. Always talking about making money. "Dorothy, you can't stay in this big house by yourself," she said to me that first week. She was standing in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I baked cookies for Michael when he was little. "I'm okay. I can take care of myself." "Can you really?" Lisa picked up my mail from the table. "Because I see bills here you haven't opened yet." That should have made me worried. Why was she looking at my mail? But I was so sad about Robert. Everything felt hard. The insurance papers, the bills from doctors, the cards people sent me. Lisa said she would help me organize everything. She said that's what family does. "I'll just sort these papers for you," she told me, taking my mail to the dining room. "You have a lot of money here, Dorothy. We need to keep it safe." She was right about one thing. I did have money. And she wanted to know exactly how much. Over the next few weeks, Lisa came to my house every day. Always helpful. Always worried about me. "Dorothy, you forgot to lock your door yesterday," she would say. "What if someone bad came in? Maybe we should write down important things so you remember." Or she'd say, "You told me the same story about Robert's garden 3 times today. Maybe you should see a doctor about your memory." Little comments, soft words. But each one made me feel small and confused. She started talking about old people's homes. "Beautiful places, Dorothy. They cook for you. They have doctors right there. Much safer than living alone." I kept finding her in Robert's old office, looking through our papers. "Just making sure everything is organized," she'd say. "In case something happens to you." What really made me nervous was how she talked about Michael. She'd say things like, "Michael is having a hard time right now. Money problems. He's very stressed." But when I asked to call him, she always had a reason why I couldn't. "He's busy with work, Dorothy. He doesn't want to make you worried with his problems." Then I started noticing strange things. New credit cards coming in the mail that I didn't ask for. Phone calls from people about money that I never called. Lisa always had answers. "I thought you should look at different ways to save your money. At your age, you need to be careful." One morning in July, I found a paper on my kitchen table. Lisa was making coffee like this was her house. "Just something to keep you safe," she said, not looking at me. "If something bad happens to you, someone needs to help with your money. Michael is too busy, and I know about these things because I sell houses." The paper said Lisa could control all my money. Every dollar in my bank. Every decision about my house. Everything. I looked at that paper and realized I didn't know what else Lisa had been doing while I was sad and crying. But she was about to learn that I'm not as confused as she thinks. That night, I did something I should have done much earlier. I took out every paper about my money and looked at all of them. Robert's desk was covered with papers. The numbers were very big, even for me. $2.1 million in my retirement account at Charles Schwab. Another $52,000 in my savings at Chase Bank. My house was worth $920,000 according to the papers. Robert's life insurance gave me $300,000 that I hadn't used yet. Almost $3.5 million total. But here's what made my hands shake. Some papers had Lisa's handwriting on them. Count numbers. How much money I had. Even phone numbers for my money advisors. She knew exactly how much I was worth. Every single penny. I started thinking about all our talks. How she always asked about my money. How she wanted to organize my papers. How she said I needed someone to help manage my savings. Robert always took care of our money. He was smart with numbers. After he died, I just let everything sit there because it was too hard to think about. Lisa knew that. She was using it against me. The next morning, Lisa brought me coffee and a new copy of that paper about controlling my money. My lawyer looked at this, she said. He made it better to protect you more. I read the new version. The changes gave her even more power. She could sell my house. She could move my money anywhere. She could open my safe deposit box at the bank. Lisa, I need time to think about this. Her smile got smaller for just a second. Of course, Dorothy. But at your age, waiting can be dangerous. And Michael really needs family help right now. There it was again. Michael's secret money problems. How much money does Michael need? Yes. It's not about one amount. It's about having money ready when family needs it. She wanted everything. That afternoon I made a phone call I should have made before. Peterson speaking. Karen, it's Dorothy Chen. Detective Karen Peterson and I had been friends since our kids were in school together. We used to volunteer at bake sales. If anyone could help me understand what Lisa was doing, it was her. Dorothy, I've been thinking about you since Robert passed. How are you managing? That's why I'm calling. I think someone is trying to trick me. I told her everything. Lisa's constant help. Her knowledge of my money. The pressure to sign papers giving her control. Dorothy, this sounds like elder abuse. Very clever kind. The slow approach. Making you feel rushed. Using your sadness. How well do you know this woman? She's been married to Michael for 4 years. She sells houses here in Sacramento. But Karen, I haven't talked to Michael directly in more than a month. Silence on the phone. Dorothy, when did you last see Michael with your own eyes? Thought hard. Robert's funeral. May 20th. It's now August 2nd. More than 2 months. This is getting worse, Karen said. I want you to write down everything. Every conversation. Every paper she shows you. Everything she says about Michael. Can you do that without her knowing? I think so. Good. And Dorothy, don't sign anything. I don't care what she says. I don't care how important she makes it sound. Sign nothing. That evening Lisa came over with dinner. Chinese food from the place Robert loved. I've been thinking about what we discussed, she said. About Michael's situation. It's actually worse than I told you. She sat across from me at Robert's table. The same table where we ate thousands of meals together for 40 years. He owes people money. Bad people. They're not nice about waiting for payments. How much money? Enough that he needs money fast. Your power of attorney paper would let me move money quickly if something happens. I looked at her carefully. What kind of something? Dorothy, at your age, bad things happen suddenly. Falls. Heart problems. Strokes. If you're in the hospital, Michael's money people won't wait. We need to protect your savings before they try to take it. She was making up an emergency to steal my life savings. But she didn't know I was about to make an emergency of my own. Lisa, I need to tell you something straight. She looked up from her noodles. Fork halfway to her mouth. I'm not signing any power of attorney. I'm not moving any money. And I'm not making emergency choices based on mysterious things about Michael's debts. The mask slipped, just for a moment, but I saw it. Her face went from caring daughter-in-law to something much colder. Dorothy, I don't think you understand how serious this is. I understand perfectly. You want my money. That's it. That's not what this is about. Then tell me exactly what Michael owes, who he owes it to, and why it needs my money. She put down her fork. Some situations are complicated. I taught math for 40 years, Lisa. Try me. Another crack in her act. She didn't know I used to teach. Michael never told her. Look, I'm trying to help you. Robert would have wanted. No. My voice was quiet, but she stopped talking. Don't you dare tell me what my husband would have wanted. Lisa sat back in her chair. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Less sweet. More impatient. You can't live in this house forever, Dorothy. You can barely take care of yourself. Yesterday you couldn't find your glasses. I remember exactly where my glasses were. Do you? Because I found them in the freezer. That's not normal. That's interesting, Lisa. Since I haven't opened my freezer in 4 days. Silence. The point is, she continued, you need help. Real help. Not from church ladies and neighbors. Professional help. Professional help with what exactly? Your money. A house. Your future care. There it was. Professional help with my $3.5 million. And you've decided you're the one to give this help. I'm family, Dorothy. Who else will do it? Michael would do it, I said. Michael has his own problems. Then let me talk to him. He doesn't want to upset you. I'm his mother. I think I can handle whatever he needs to say. Lisa stood up fast. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Dorothy. You're not thinking clearly. Michael is dealing with serious things, and you want to bother him with your stubbornness. My stubbornness? Yes. Your refusal to accept help. Your insistence on living in the past. Your inability to make smart decisions about your future. She was pacing now, her voice getting sharper. Robert took care of everything for you. The bills, the appointments, the decisions. Without him, you're lost. And instead of accepting help from family, you're being paranoid and difficult. I reached into my sweater pocket and pulled out my phone. Started recording. Tell me more about how I'm being difficult. You're living in a house that's too big for you. With stairs that could hurt you. Managing money you don't understand. You're one fall away from a nursing home, and you're too proud to admit it. Go on. This whole conversation proves you're not capable of handling your own life. A normal person would be grateful for help. A normal person would trust family to make good choices. She stopped pacing and looked right at me. But you're not normal anymore, are you, Dorothy? You're just a confused old woman who doesn't know what's good for her. I stopped recording and put my phone back in my pocket. That's an interesting way to see things, Lisa. It's not a way to see things. It's the truth. And in your truth, what happens to confused old women who don't accept help? They end up in state-run nursing homes with court-appointed people managing their money. I see. And you'd hate for that to happen to me. Of course I would. Because you care about me. Exactly. Not because court-appointed people would make it harder for you to get my money. Her face went white. Lisa left without finishing her dinner. Didn't even say goodbye. The next morning I called Karen Peterson again. She took the bait, I told her. I've got her on recording basically threatening me with nursing homes if I don't cooperate. Dorothy, that's excellent. But we need more. Elder abuse cases need proof of actual stealing or fraud, not just planning to do it. Then let's find some. Karen connected me with a private investigator named Marcus Lee. Used to work for the government. Expert in money crimes. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Your daughter-in-law is skilled, Marcus said after I told him everything. The gradual approach. The emotional tricks. The fake urgency. This isn't her first time. What do you mean? I mean, professional con artists have patterns. They practice their methods. If she's this smooth with you, she's probably done this before. Marcus explained how we'd build the case. Watch my bank accounts for any unauthorized use. Check Lisa's background with her previous clients. Most importantly, find out where Michael actually was and what he was doing. About Michael, Marcus said. When you say you haven't spoken to him directly, what exactly does that mean? Lisa always answers the phone. Says he's busy, stressed, doesn't want to worry me. But she tells me what's happening. What kind of things? Money troubles, work stress, relationship problems. Nothing specific. Marcus wrote notes. Dorothy, I need to ask you something important. Think carefully before you answer. Is it possible Michael isn't actually in Florida? What do you mean? I mean physically. Have you seen him? Spoken to him directly? Or confirmed where he is through any other source besides Lisa? Thought about it. Every conversation went through Lisa. Every update came from her. Even Michael's absence from family video calls was explained by her. No, I said slowly. I haven't. Then we need to find your son. Marcus's background check on Lisa showed something interesting. In the past 6 years, she'd worked with 4 elderly clients who had financial problems shortly after hiring her as their real estate agent. Look at this pattern, Marcus said, putting papers on my dining table. Widow or widower. Lots of money. Family members far away or deceased. In each case, Lisa helped them organize their money during a hard time. What happened to them? 3 ended up in nursing homes after signing power of attorney papers. The 4th died before his family found out $450,000 was missing from his accounts. My teaching brain kicked in. The one that could spot patterns in numbers. Where did the money go? Fake companies. Fake investment plans. Real estate deals that never actually happened. Very sophisticated. But the real shock came when Marcus started tracking Michael's location. Dorothy, I need you to sit down for this. He opened his laptop and showed me photos. Michael, very much alive, sitting on a beach. The computer said the photos were taken in Hawaii yesterday. He's not in Florida. He's been in Hawaii for the past 8 weeks. Hotel registered under a fake name, but face recognition software confirmed it's him. Hawaii. It gets better. He's not alone. Marcus clicked to the next photo. Michael with a young woman with red hair I'd never seen before. They were holding hands, smiling. Obviously a couple. Her name is Amanda Torres, 28 years old. From Arizona. No criminal record, but here's the thing. She's been posting about her vacation boyfriend all over Instagram. Vacation boyfriend. She has no idea Michael is married. According to her social media, she met him 4 months ago. He told her he was single, going through a divorce. I stared at the photos. My son was alive, living in paradise with his girlfriend, while his wife was back in Sacramento trying to steal my life savings. Marcus, I don't think Michael knows what Lisa is doing. That night Lisa called me. Dorothy, I've been thinking about our conversation. Maybe I was too direct. It's okay, Lisa. No, it's not. Care about you. I want what's best for this family. Sometimes that means having hard conversations. I had Marcus's recording equipment set up by then. Every call was being saved. I understand. Good. Because I have news about Michael's situation. It's gotten much worse. How much worse? He needs $60,000 immediately. Tonight. $60,000 for what? I can't explain details over the phone. But Dorothy, if we don't act fast, there will be serious problems. What kind of problems? The kind that could hurt our whole family. Your reputation. Your safety. Michael's future. She was making the urgency bigger. Creating a fake emergency to pressure me into quick action. Lisa, I'll need to see papers. Bank statements. Loan documents. Something official. There's no time for papers. These people don't use paperwork. What people? Silence on the line. She'd said more than she meant to. Look, can you access your Chase bank account online? Yes. Good. I'm going to help you do a wire transfer. It needs to happen tonight. To who? I'll give you the account information. Just trust me on this. I was recording everything. Marcus was sitting across from me taking notes. Lisa, I'm not sending money to anyone without understanding exactly what this is for. Dorothy, do you want something terrible to happen to Michael? Of course not. Then help me help him. The thing about con artists is they always push too hard. Lisa was about to make the biggest mistake of her criminal life. I need access to your accounts, Dorothy. All of them. The next morning I got a call that changed everything. Mom. Michael's voice. Finally. Michael, where are you? Lisa said you were having serious problems. What problems? Mom, I'm fine. I'm in Hawaii on vacation. I've been trying to call you for weeks, but Lisa said you were having health issues and didn't want to talk. My blood felt cold. Health issues? She said you'd had some kind of episode. Memory problems. Confusion. She thought it was best if I left you alone to recover. Michael, I haven't had any health issues. Silence on the phone. Mom, what's going on? I explained everything. Lisa's pressure tactics. The power of attorney demands. Her claims about his money troubles. Michael listened without interrupting. Mom, I don't have any debts. I don't owe anyone money. And I definitely haven't asked Lisa to handle anything for me. Where exactly are you? Grand Wailea Resort. I met someone here. A woman named Amanda. We've been dating for a few months. I was planning to bring her home to meet you. Michael, Lisa thinks you're in Florida. I haven't been to Florida in over a year. And she doesn't know about Amanda. Lisa and I have been having problems. I came here to think about our marriage. Amanda doesn't even know I'm married. The pieces were coming together. Lisa thought Michael was missing or dead. She was positioning herself to inherit everything as his widow. But Michael was very much alive. Just temporarily out of touch. Mom, what has Lisa been telling people about me? I thought about her recent escalation. The urgent demands for money. Her increased pressure for power of attorney. Michael, I think Lisa is planning to fake your death. 4 days later, Lisa proved me right. I was having tea on my front porch when she pulled into my driveway. She looked different. Wearing black clothes, sad makeup, serious face. She walked up my front steps like she was walking to something terrible. Dorothy, I have awful news. What kind of news? It's about Michael. She sat down heavily in Robert's old chair. There's been an accident. I put down my teacup. What kind of accident? A car crash in Florida. He didn't make it. Lisa reached into her purse and pulled out a folded paper. A death certificate. Michael Chen, age 37. Cause of death. Multiple injuries from vehicle accident. It looked real. It wasn't. When did this happen? Yesterday morning. I've been handling everything. I didn't want to tell you over the phone. Have you contacted the police? Everything's been handled. The body has been prepared. I've arranged for cremation. Cremation. Michael always said he wanted to be cremated. Like Robert. That was a lie. Michael was terrified of fire. Always had been since he was a little boy. Lisa, I'd like to see the police report. Of course. I'll get you copies of everything. But Dorothy, there are immediate things we need to address. Like what? Michael had debts. Serious debts. His creditors won't wait for legal processes. We need to protect your money before they try to take it from the estate. She pulled out another paper. The same power of attorney I'd refused to sign. With new words about emergency estate protection. This will let me secure your money immediately. Move funds to protected accounts. Pay off Michael's debts. Make sure his creditors can't touch your savings. By now, several neighbors had noticed Lisa's car in my driveway. Mrs. Williams from next door was watering her flowers but clearly listening. The Martinez family was getting their mail but taking their time about it. Small town life. Everyone knows everyone's business. Dorothy, we need to act quickly on this. Word spread fast in our neighborhood. By afternoon, my doorbell kept ringing. Neighbors bringing food, offering sympathy, asking if there was anything they could do. Lisa played her part perfectly. "Thank you so much for coming," she told Mrs. Williams. "Dorothy is taking this very hard. Michael was her only child. Such a tragedy," Mrs. Williams said. "And so young. Was it sudden?" "Very sudden. A car accident in Florida. He was there for work." I watched Lisa create her lies with impressive skill. Michael's fake business trip. The tragic phone calls she'd received. Her immediate flight to Florida to handle things. Her concern for my emotional state. "Dorothy's been struggling since Robert passed," she told the Martinez family. "This might be too much for her to handle." The sympathy was overwhelming. Our neighbor Tom Brown offered to help with funeral arrangements. Linda Park brought groceries. Everyone wanted to support the grieving mother and her caring daughter-in-law. By evening, Lisa had set up a GoFundMe page. "Memorial Fund for Michael Chen," the headline said. "Helping family cover unexpected funeral costs and support his grieving mother." The description was brilliant. Michael's sudden death. My fixed income. The financial burden of funeral costs on top of Robert's recent medical bills. Lisa positioned herself as the responsible family member trying to protect me from extra stress. The donations started right away. $150 from the Williams family. $300 from Michael's old college friends. $600 from my former teaching colleagues. Within 7 hours, the fund had raised over $9,000. Lisa showed me the page on her phone. "People are so kind. This will really help with the costs." "What costs?" "The funeral home, the cremation, the memorial service. It all costs a lot." "How much does cremation cost?" "About $3,500. But there are other costs. Transportation, permits, the memorial service." She was planning an entire funeral for my living son. Collecting donations from our community. And positioning herself as the grieving widow managing everything. The boldness was breathtaking. The funeral was scheduled for Saturday at Grace Community Church. Lisa had arranged everything. Flowers, music, reception afterward in the church hall. She'd even written the obituary. Michael Chen, beloved son and husband, passed away unexpectedly on September 10th in Miami, Florida. Michael was a devoted family man who brought happiness and laughter to everyone who knew him. It ran in the Sacramento Bee and online. Michael's college friends were sharing it on Facebook. His former co-workers were posting memories. My son was being mourned by hundreds of people. And he was sitting on a beach in Hawaii, completely unaware that he was dead. Friday night, Lisa came to my house with boxes. "We need to pack up Michael's things," she said. "I can't stand to see them anymore." She started in his old bedroom, pulling clothes from the closet, clearing out his desk, moving like a woman trying to erase memories too painful to keep. "There's something else we need to talk about," she said. "What's that?" "This house. It's too much for you now. Especially with everything that's happened." She sat down on Michael's bed, still holding one of his old baseball shirts. "I've been looking at some really nice senior communities. Places where you'd have help when you need it but still keep your freedom. I'm not interested in moving, Lisa. Dorothy, you can't live in the past forever. Robert's gone. Michael's gone. This house is just a reminder of everything you've lost." She stood up and walked to Michael's window, looking out at the backyard where he'd played as a child. "I know this is hard to hear, but keeping this place isn't healthy. You need to start fresh somewhere new. And what happens to the house? We sell it. Use the money for your care costs." I'm family, Dorothy. I'm all you have left now." She turned from the window and looked at me directly. "The funeral is tomorrow. After we say goodbye to Michael, we need to focus on your future. And your future can't be in this house full of ghosts. Saturday morning came with beautiful September weather. The kind Robert always loved. I put on my best black dress and drove to Grace Community Church. The church was packed. Hundreds of people had come to mourn my living son. Lisa stood at the front, greeting mourners, accepting sympathy, playing the devoted widow with Oscar-worthy performance. She'd even brought tissues and makeup to touch up her tears. At 11 o'clock, she walked to the front to give her speech. Michael was the kind of man who put family first, she began. He worried about his mother, especially after losing his father. Michael's greatest fear was that Dorothy would be left alone without family support. Strange words from a woman planning to steal everything I owned. That's when I saw Karen Peterson enter through the side door. She wasn't alone. Marcus Lee followed her, along with another man I didn't recognize wearing a badge. Lisa continued her speech, unaware that her audience had changed. Michael would want us to take care of each other, she said. To support Dorothy during this difficult time. Karen walked down the center aisle and stopped directly in front of the pulpit. Mrs. Chen, she said. Lisa looked up, confused by the interruption. I'm Detective Peterson with the Sacramento Police Financial Crimes Unit. I need to speak with you. The church went silent. 400 people holding their breath. I'm in the middle of a funeral, Lisa said. Yes, I can see that. A funeral for Michael Chen, who according to this death certificate died in a car accident in Miami on September 10th. Karen held up the fake document. The problem is, Mrs. Chen, Michael Chen is very much alive. She pulled out her phone and connected it to the church's sound system. Mom, can you hear me? Michael's voice filled the church. Clear. Healthy. Very much not dead. Hi everyone. I'm calling from Hawaii, where I've been on vacation for the past 8 weeks. I just want to confirm that reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. The congregation erupted. Shouting. Confusion. Someone was recording with their phone. Lisa stood frozen at the front, her face as white as her dress. Mrs. Chen, Karen continued, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and elder financial abuse. The chaos in the church was unlike anything I'd ever seen. People were standing, shouting questions, pulling out phones to record. Some were demanding explanations. Others were calling friends who donated to the GoFundMe. Lisa tried to run. She made it 4 steps before Marcus Lee blocked her path. Lisa Elizabeth Chen, you have the right to remain silent, Karen began. But Lisa wasn't staying silent. This is a mistake, she shouted over the crowd noise. Michael is confused. He's been having mental problems. That's when Michael's video call came through on the church's big screen. He was sitting on a hotel balcony, palm trees visible behind him. Amanda Torres next to him in a sundress. Mental problems. Michael laughed. Lisa, I've never felt better in my life. The crowd turned their attention to the screen. Michael looked healthy and relaxed. Nothing like someone who died in a car accident. Mom, are you okay? This woman told me you were having memory problems and couldn't handle phone calls. I'm fine, son. Better than fine. And who, Michael continued, looking directly at Lisa through the camera, is going to explain why my wife is holding my funeral while I'm sitting in Hawaii? Amanda leaned into the frame. Wait, wife. Michael, you told me you were divorced. Even through the video call, you could see Michael's face change as he realized the scope of Lisa's lies. Lisa, Michael's voice was quiet now. What exactly have you been telling people? Lisa was handcuffed but still trying to maintain control. Michael, you don't understand the situation. Your mother needed help. She was being taken advantage of. By who? Financial advisors. Estate lawyers. People trying to use her grief. Marcus stepped forward with a folder full of evidence. Mrs. Chen, we have recordings of you threatening Mrs. Dorothy Chen with nursing home placement if she didn't sign over power of attorney. We have forged documents, fake death certificates, and evidence of attempted wire fraud. He turned to address the congregation. We also have evidence that Mrs. Chen has run similar schemes on at least 4 other elderly victims in the Sacramento area. The crowd's murmur turned angry. These people had been played. Their sympathy exploited. Their donations stolen. "Michael," I called out to the screen. "Come home, son. We have a lot to talk about." What happened next was like watching a building fall down in slow motion. Lisa's entire life collapsed in real time. Marcus opened his evidence folder and began reading from his investigation report. Financial records show unauthorized access attempts to Dorothy Chen's accounts dating back to June 2024. Forged power of attorney documents. Fake death certificate with falsified coroner signature. He held up bank statements showing attempted wire transfers that had been blocked by fraud protection systems. Mrs. Chen attempted to transfer $60,000 from Dorothy Chen's Chase bank account to an offshore account in Panama on September 9, one day before the alleged date of death. The crowd was getting angry. These were the same people who donated their hard-earned money to the GoFundMe campaign. The GoFundMe fraud alone constitutes theft of $16,234 from 143 different victims, Marcus continued. Mrs. Williams stood up from her seat. "I gave you $150. I skipped buying new shoes this month to donate to that fund." Tom Brown was even more upset. "You told me Michael owed money to dangerous people. I gave you $600. Lisa tried one last desperate move. "You don't understand," she shouted. "Dorothy is mentally incompetent. She was going to lose everything to scammers. I was trying to protect her money." Karen pulled out her phone and played the recording from our dinner conversation. Lisa's voice filled the church. "You're just a confused old woman who doesn't know what's good for her." Then her threat. Confused old women end up in state-run nursing homes with court-appointed people managing their money. The evidence was overwhelming. Witnesses in the seats were recording everything with their phones. Within hours, the footage would be viral on social media. Marcus delivered the final blow. Mrs. Chen's real estate license has been suspended pending investigation. We've identified problems in her handling of at least 7 elderly clients' property transactions over the past 4 years. Her career was over. Her freedom was over. Her marriage was over. As Karen escorted her toward the church exit, Lisa made one final attempt to save face. "Dorothy, you'll never survive on your own. Without family support, you'll end up exactly where I said you would." I stood up from my seat and looked her directly in the eye. "Lisa, I survived 40 years teaching math to middle schoolers. I think I can handle retirement." The legal proceedings moved faster than I expected. Lisa was charged with multiple serious crimes: elder financial abuse, wire fraud, forgery, identity theft, and theft by deception. The district attorney called it one of the most sophisticated elder abuse schemes they'd prosecuted in Sacramento County history. Her bail was set at $125,000, which she couldn't pay. Turns out most of her money was tied up in fake investments and shell companies. Within a week, the bank had reversed all unauthorized transaction attempts and secured my accounts with extra fraud protection. The GoFundMe platform refunded every donation and launched their own investigation into Lisa's campaign. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit took over the case when they discovered Lisa's activities crossed state lines. She'd been running similar schemes in Nevada and Oregon before moving to California. Michael flew home from Hawaii the day after the funeral disaster. Amanda came with him, still processing the fact that she'd been dating a married man whose wife had faked his death. "Mom, I'm so sorry," Michael said when I picked them up at the airport. "I had no idea Lisa was capable of something like this." "How could you know? She fooled everyone. I should have stayed in touch better. After Dad died, I was dealing with my own grief. Thought giving you space was the right thing to do." That's exactly what Lisa was counting on. The divorce papers were filed within 48 hours. Michael's lawyer made it clear that Lisa would receive nothing from the marriage. In fact, given the criminal charges, Michael was pursuing civil restitution for damages to his reputation and emotional distress. My insurance company launched their own investigation and determined that if Lisa's scheme had succeeded, they would have been defrauded of Robert's $300,000 life insurance benefit. The ripple effects kept expanding. Other elderly victims in Lisa's real estate network came forward. The state licensing board opened a comprehensive review of her past transactions. By Christmas, Lisa Elizabeth Chen would be serving a 6-year federal sentence for elder fraud. The professional fallout was swift and complete. Within 72 hours of her arrest, the California Real Estate Commission suspended Lisa's license pending investigation. When they dug into her client files, they found a pattern of exploitation targeting elderly sellers. She would identify vulnerable homeowners, the commission's investigator explained to me. Recent widows and widowers, people with health issues, families in crisis. Then she'd offer to help with more than just the real estate transaction. The scheme was always the same. Gain the client's trust during a vulnerable period. Offer to help with financial organization. Gradually assume more control over their affairs. Eventually pressure them into disadvantageous deals or outright theft. 4 other victims came forward during the investigation. Helen Rodriguez, 75, had signed over power of attorney to Lisa after her husband's heart attack. Lisa had sold Helen's house for $180,000 below market value to a company she secretly owned. James Wilson, 79, had been convinced to invest his retirement savings in an exclusive real estate fund that turned out to be Lisa's personal account. Patricia Lee, 71, had hired Lisa to sell her late husband's commercial property. Lisa had kept the $380,000 commission and told Patricia the sale had fallen through. The total amount stolen across all victims exceeded $1.4 million. The State Attorney General's office created a task force specifically to investigate financial elder abuse in real estate transactions. Lisa's case became their primary prosecution example. Her former real estate agency, Premier Realty Sacramento, faced civil lawsuits from multiple victims. They settled out of court for undisclosed amounts and implemented new oversight procedures for agents working with elderly clients. The ripple effects reached the local banking community. Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, and other major institutions updated their fraud detection systems specifically to flag suspicious activity involving elderly account holders. Lisa's case was featured in training materials for bank employees, real estate professionals, and elder care advocates. Her name became synonymous with financial elder abuse in California. She would never work in real estate again. The hardest part wasn't the legal proceedings or the media attention. It was the apology meeting. As part of her plea agreement, Lisa was required to make public restitution to the community she'd defrauded. The judge ordered her to appear at a town hall meeting and explain her actions to her victims. Grace Community Church hosted the meeting. The same sanctuary where she'd held Michael's fake funeral was packed again, but this time with a very different energy. Lisa, wearing an Orange County jail jumpsuit and handcuffs, read from a prepared statement. "I want to apologize to Dorothy Chen and the entire community for my actions. I exploited your kindness and trust during a time when you were trying to help a grieving family." Her voice was flat, emotionless, court-mandated remorse. "I also want to apologize to Michael Chen for the damage I've caused to his reputation and relationships." Michael sat in the front row next to me. He'd insisted on being there, even though his lawyer had advised against it. "My actions were inexcusable," Lisa continued. "I betrayed the trust of people who welcomed me into their community and treated me like family." Mrs. Williams stood up from her seat. "How many other families have you done this to?" Lisa's lawyer whispered something in her ear. "I cannot comment on ongoing investigations." Tom Brown shouted from the back of the church. "That's not an answer." The judge had allowed victims to address Lisa directly. One by one, they stood up and told her how her actions had affected them. Helen Rodriguez talked about losing her home because of Lisa's manipulation. James Wilson described the stress of discovering his life savings were gone. Patricia Lee explained how Lisa's theft had forced her to move in with her children. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up and looked directly at Lisa. You picked the wrong family to destroy. And you underestimated the wrong woman. But most importantly, you forgot that justice isn't revenge. It's protection. Lisa was sentenced on a cold February morning, 6 months after her arrest. Judge Margaret Thompson didn't hold back. Mrs. Chen, you systematically exploited some of our community's most vulnerable members during their darkest hours. You weaponized their grief, their trust, and their generosity for personal gain. The sentence was comprehensive. 6 years in federal prison, $550,000 in restitution to victims, and lifetime prohibition from working in financial services or real estate. But the judge wasn't finished. Your actions have damaged far more than bank accounts. You've eroded trust between families and communities. You've made grieving people question their own judgment and their safety in their own homes. Lisa showed no emotion as the sentence was read. No tears. No apologies. No acknowledgement of the lives she'd destroyed. After the sentencing, Michael and I drove home together. Amanda had moved to Sacramento and was living with him in a small apartment downtown. They were planning to marry in the spring. Mom, do you think she'll actually serve the full 6 years? Probably 5 with good behavior. But Marcus says the civil lawsuits will keep her tied up in court for years after that. The restitution alone would bankrupt her. Helen Rodriguez's family was suing for the difference between the price Lisa sold her house for and its actual market value. James Wilson's children were pursuing a wrongful conversion claim. Patricia Lee had hired a lawyer to recover her husband's business property commission. The thing is, I told Michael, the money was never really the point. What do you mean? Lisa thought she was stealing from a confused old woman who wouldn't fight back. She thought grief made me weak. Pulled into my driveway. The same driveway where Lisa had once told me I had 3 days to get out. But grief doesn't make you weak, son. It makes you careful about who deserves your trust. The impact on our community was lasting. Grace Community Church now required background checks for anyone handling financial donations. The local police department created an elder fraud prevention program. The city council passed an ordinance requiring additional oversight for real estate transactions involving elderly sellers. Lisa's case had made everyone more vigilant, more protective of vulnerable community members. 4 months after her sentencing, I received a letter from her in prison. I threw it away without opening it. The systemic changes that followed Lisa's case were more extensive than anyone expected. The California legislature passed the Robert Chen Elder Protection Act, named after my late husband, which created new criminal penalties for financial exploitation of vulnerable adults and required mandatory reporting by financial institutions. Banks throughout the state implemented new protocols. Transactions over $15,000 involving accounts held by people over 65 now required additional verification. Sudden changes in banking patterns triggered automatic reviews. Power of attorney documents required notarization and independent witness verification. Chase Bank, where Lisa had attempted her wire transfer, created a dedicated elder fraud prevention unit. They hired Marcus Lee as a consultant to train their staff on recognizing exploitation patterns. The real estate industry faced its own reckoning. The California Association of Realtors mandated annual training on elder fraud prevention. They created a hotline for reporting suspicious activity and established a victim assistance fund. Grace Community Church completely overhauled their financial procedures. All donation campaigns now require documentation of actual need. GoFundMe and similar platforms were prohibited unless verified by church leadership. They created a volunteer committee to visit elderly members regularly. The most significant change was the creation of the Sacramento Elder Justice Coalition, a partnership between law enforcement, social services, healthcare providers, and financial institutions. Their mission was early detection and prevention of elder abuse. I found myself at the center of these efforts. Detective Karen Peterson recruited me as a volunteer consultant for financial crimes investigations. My teaching background and personal experience with Lisa's tactics made me valuable for training other investigators. "Dorothy, you've got credibility that we can't manufacture," Karen told me. "When you tell people to trust their instincts about financial exploitation, they listen." I started speaking at senior centers, church groups, and community meetings. The message was always the same. Vulnerability doesn't equal helplessness, and asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. The Sacramento Bee ran a series of articles about elder fraud prevention, featuring my story as the lead example. The headline read, "Retired Teacher Outsmarts Daughter-in-Law's $2.1 million inheritance scam." But the most meaningful change was personal. Michael moved back to Sacramento permanently. He and Amanda bought a house 4 blocks from mine. We had dinner together every Sunday, and I finally felt like I had family again. Real family. The kind that protects you instead of exploiting you. A year after Lisa's arrest, Michael and Amanda were married in the same church where she'd held his fake funeral. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the congregation. Pastor Williams opened the ceremony with a reflection on truth, trust, and the importance of protecting family bonds. Today we celebrate not just the union of Michael and Amanda, but the triumph of love over deception, trust over manipulation, and family over fraud. Robert would have loved Amanda. She was studying to become a financial advisor, inspired by what had happened to our family. "I want to help people protect themselves," she told me. "What Lisa did to you could happen to anyone." Michael had changed too. The carefree attitude that had made him vulnerable to Lisa's lies was replaced by a more thoughtful approach to relationships and responsibilities. "Mom, I'm sorry I wasn't here when you needed me most. You were here when it mattered, son. But I should have been here from the beginning." Robert always said that perfect timing is a luxury we rarely get. What matters is showing up when you realize what's important. We'd established new boundaries and new traditions. Michael called me every Tuesday and Friday not because he had to, but because we both wanted to maintain connection. He handled my technology issues. I helped him understand investments and retirement planning. Amanda fit into our family seamlessly. She had the same practical intelligence that Robert had possessed, and the same fierce protectiveness toward people she loved. "Dorothy," she said at their wedding reception, "I want you to know that what happened with Lisa will never happen again. Michael and I will make sure of that." "I know you will, Amanda. But more than that, we want you to know that you're not alone anymore. Family means looking out for each other." Standing there at the reception, watching Michael and Amanda dance to the same song Robert and I had danced to 45 years earlier, I realized something important. Lisa had tried to isolate me to make me vulnerable. Instead, she'd brought me closer to the family I really had. 2 years later, I'm still living in the same house where Lisa once told me I had 3 days to get out. But everything else has changed. The house is full of life again. Michael and Amanda visit twice a week. Their first child, my granddaughter Margaret Rose, was born last spring. She's already showing signs of her great-grandfather's gentle intelligence. I've become an advocate for elder fraud prevention, working with law enforcement agencies and senior organizations across California. The work gives me purpose and helps other families avoid what we went through. Last month, I helped expose another inheritance fraud scheme targeting a widow in Fresno. The patterns were identical to Lisa's approach. Manufactured urgency, emotional manipulation, isolation from family support. The difference was that this time we caught it before any money was stolen. That's the message I want to leave you with. Lisa's scheme worked initially because I was isolated in my grief. I wasn't talking to my son, wasn't connected to my community, wasn't trusting my own instincts. But isolation is a choice, not an inevitability. If you're watching this because you've experienced family financial betrayal, or because you're worried about an elderly parent or relative, here's what I've learned. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate. If someone is pressuring you to make urgent financial decisions during a vulnerable time, slow down and get independent advice. Document everything. Keep records of conversations. Save emails. Note dates and times. If someone is exploiting you, evidence will be your best protection. Stay connected. The strongest defense against financial predators is family and community support. Don't let anyone convince you that you're better off isolated. Most importantly, remember that age and grief don't make you weak. They make you wise enough to know the difference between people who want to help you and people who want to help themselves to your assets. If you've experienced something similar to my story, share it in the comments below. Your experience might help protect someone else's family. And if you found this story helpful, please subscribe to Granny's Voice and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the best way to honor the people we've lost is to protect the people we still have. Thank you for watching.